Breaking news, a presidential pardon for Michael Flynn. The president granting a full pardon to his former national security advisor, who pleaded guilty twice to lying to the FBI in the Russia investigation. President-elect Joe Biden warns of a long, hard winter and says we're at war with the virus, not one another, in a Thanksgiving call to unify the nation. With more Americans traveling than at any time in the pandemic, growing concern that Thanksgiving will be a super spreader event, leading to far more COVID cases and deaths. As the numbers keep soaring, the new pleas by frontline workers. Plus, just how protected are you from the virus? A new COVID test may have the answer. The crisis within the pandemic, with so many struggling financially, heartbreaking scenes at food banks facing almost unprecedented demand. Holiday shopping reimagined, what stores are doing to make shoppers feel safe, trying to preserve a little holiday magic. Meghan Markle's deeply personal revelation about her pregnancy loss, her message to so many families who've been through the same experience.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening. I'm Kate Snow in for Lester. Tonight, President Trump announced today he will grant what he called a full presidential pardon to his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. Flynn was the only White House official to be convicted as part of the Russia investigation led by Robert Mueller. He was also an early supporter of Mr. Trump's presidential campaign. The move ending a long, drawn-out legal battle and coming after repeated complaints from the president that his ally was being mistreated. We begin with Kelly O'Donnell at the White House.
Tonight, a show of presidential power undimmed by his electoral defeat. President Trump wiping out the conviction of his former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, who had pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI in the Russia investigation. The president on Twitter: "It is my great honor to announce that General Michael T. Flynn has been granted a full pardon. I know you will now have a truly fantastic Thanksgiving." The president's clemency was anticipated, but still striking, as he long complained that Flynn had been mistreated by the Justice Department.
We went through 2.5 years of ruining people's lives, like General Flynn and many others, ruining their lives.
Fired in 2017 for lying about his contact with the Russian ambassador, this year, Flynn asked to withdraw his guilty plea, and the Justice Department attempted to drop its case, but a judge had not signed off, leaving Flynn in legal peril. Separately today, President Trump used his voice to air grievance, even desperation.
This election has to be turned around.
The president on speakerphone, as his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, appeared before Pennsylvania Republican state legislators to make complaints about election procedures.
This was an election that we won easily. We won it by a lot.
Minutes later in Wilmington, President-elect Joe Biden offered a starkly different message.
Let's be thankful for democracy itself.
Biden called for unity and compassion, acknowledging the many hardships brought on by COVID this holiday season.
We need to remember we're at war with the virus, not with one another.
President Trump has now used his pardon power 29 times and commuted another 16 sentences. With Flynn, he has used that special power to help a personal friend and political ally that the White House has referred to as an innocent man who should not have been prosecuted. The Flynn family offered thanks tonight, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called this pardon an act of grave corruption. Kate?
Kelly O'Donnell, thank you. Let's get right to NBC's Pete Williams. Pete, does this mean no more legal trouble for Flynn?
Sure seems to. It ends a legal saga for him that lasted nearly the entire Trump administration. He's lately been waiting 2 months for the judge to rule on whether the Justice Department could drop the case. Attorney General Barr decided that Flynn's false statements to the FBI were not material to any open investigation and therefore were not illegal. But it's not clear tonight how broad this pardon is, even if it does leave the door open to other charges like failing to report his lobbying for Turkey. It's highly doubtful the Biden administration would pursue them. Kate?
Pete Williams, thank you. Health experts are sounding the alarm tonight about the concerning number of Americans who are traveling during this worsening pandemic, a level of travel not seen since the COVID crisis began. Here's NBC's Tom Costello.
Despite a raging pandemic and a skyrocketing death toll, Americans are on the move this Thanksgiving. From Miami, headed north.
So far, being here has been safe. Everybody's following the rules, so no problem.
To New York, headed west.
I really want to see my family. My dad was really sick, so it just needed to happen.
Roughly 1 million people flying each day since Friday, even as the CDC urges Americans to stay home. AAA projects 48 million people are hitting the roads. The Caduto family keeping a tight bubble, driving to Wisconsin.
We want to stay safe, and that's why we're absolutely staying within our inner circles and just going to our cabin.
While cars and planes may be lower risk, experts worry about airports, restaurants, trains, rental car shuttles, and meals with family and friends. The nation's top docs warn we will likely pay a devastating price if hospitalizations soar, as they did after Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day.
This is clearly a super spreading event, and we can see a surge of cases on top of the current surge in a couple of weeks.
18 states plus D.C. now require out-of-state arrivals to be tested or self-quarantined. But the CDC is now considering dropping the recommended self-quarantine time from 2 weeks down to 7 to 10 days.
The accumulating data suggest that we don't have to wait 14 days. We know that the average person will get sick about 5 days after their exposure.
Meanwhile, back at the nation's airports tonight, TSA agents are behind plexiglass and keeping travelers separated.
And Tom's with us. Tom, I know you have some tips if you must travel.
Yeah, experts say wear a mask, wear eye protection if you can. On board, don't use the restroom. Stay seated, don't eat or drink, and keep this mask on until you're in your rental car or your home.
All right, Tom Costello, thank you. For those traveling or planning Thanksgiving outdoors, let's bring in Al Roker. Al, how's tomorrow shaping up?
Kate, there's a pretty strong line of storms making their way toward the east. That's going to bring rain in for the East Coast on Thanksgiving Day. Mild in the midsection of the country, cool out west. We move into Friday. It'll be nice and warm, dry, sunny from the northeast all the way through the Great Lakes. Heavy rain, though, develops along the coast, which will continue on Saturday. Sunny and dry in the east with warm weather continuing out west into the plains. And for folks who are returning home on Sunday, soggy through the south, mild in the east, sunny and dry out west. Happy Thanksgiving, Kate.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Al. As the COVID crisis deepens, new restrictions are taking effect across the country as hospitals, already overwhelmed, are bracing for far more patients. Also overwhelmed, many food banks the night before Thanksgiving. Here's Miguel Almaguer.
As Americans prepare for Thanksgiving, tomorrow will be no holiday for those fighting COVID. 261,000 lives lost in a battle Nurse Erin Bonai is trying not to bring home.
One of the things that we have been struggling with is what we do with our kids. If we feel like it comes to a point where we can't keep them safe, that includes potentially sending them to live with a relative away from us. So stay home, please.
To slow COVID spread, there is a growing but confusing list of restrictions. Landing in California from out of state, you'll be asked to quarantine for 14 days. Flying to Illinois, no statewide mandate, but if you arrive in Chicago, you may need to quarantine or face up to a $7,000 fine. But there seems to be little enforcement. In Pennsylvania, the governor may have found it easier to ban alcohol sales at bars and restaurants by 5 p.m. today.
The biggest day for drinking is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Let's forego that this one time.
With some hospitals at capacity, the FDA just authorized a new antibody test that could measure not just if you have protection from the virus, but how much.
Help arrives too late for many families. Cliff Anderson lost his mother, Mary Ann.
We said, Mom, it was okay to go. And then we had to decide to take the action in a way that was really hard.
Tonight, amid so much staggering loss, a reminder many of us still have much to be grateful for. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
I'm Sam Brock in Miami. If a picture tells 1,000 words, the images outside food banks all over America could write a novel on need.
Now, due to the virus, the money is not there.
It's an ongoing pandemic putting a crisis into focus. In Miami, people waiting online for hours.
If it weren't for these sites, would you be able to get food on the table?
Not really.
Feeding South Florida has seen demand double.
We went from serving 706,000 food insecure to over 1.5 million families in need of assistance.
At this food site in Miami, the line started at 11 o'clock last night. Behind me, there were about 600 people in this parking lot waiting to come and get their meal. Once they hit that number, everyone else is redirected to another location.
An estimated 50 million people will be food insecure this year, and 17 million kids, or 1 in 4. A situation only set to worsen as federal dollars from the CARES Act are about to dry up. A real reminder.
It will help you to at least go to the end of the month and survive.
Of what's at stake. Sam Brock, NBC News.
Americans struggling with the pandemic and economic hardship were front of mind for Joe Biden as he realized he would be president. He spoke about that moment in his exclusive interview with Lester.
What was the moment when you heard that you were projected?
I was confident we were going to win this election. I really was. Because I was so certain the American people were going to speak out. People are really, 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 really worried and concerned. And they want something done, on both sides. And after 30 lawsuits were thrown out in rapid succession, I was convinced it was just a matter of time and was going to happen. And that's why I've decided just to move on as if I were the nominee and do the business I would do within my power from the day the election occurred. And that's why I've moved along as if I'm the president. You
decided to act like you own it.
Yeah, I mean, because I believe we did, and I think it's important to send the message that of confidence and surety, and let people know what I will do. Give them some glimpse into what I will do. That's why I started off with the COVID decision and who I appointed and putting together that group. I think people are just looking, is somebody taking this seriously? And I am deadly earnest about what I want to do. And I truly believe that I can unite this country. I think the country is so hungry for it, including a lot of Republicans.
And you can see Lester's full interview with the president-elect online at NBCnews.com. In Europe, where the strategy to control a second wave of the COVID pandemic looked much different than here in the U.S., leaders announced success this week and an easing of strict lockdowns. As Richard Engel explains now, the message was a simple one: stay home to save Christmas.
There's finally something to celebrate at the end of grim 2020. The lights tonight are on down Paris's Champs-Élysées, on London's Oxford Street, in Dublin, and in Madrid's Royal Botanical Gardens. Christmas in Europe this year is a go, saved by preemptive lockdowns. Most of Europe closed 3 weeks ago, leaving schools open, but shutting nearly everything else.
Christmas, of course, is more than just a holiday. It's essential for many retailers, and getting to it is giving people a goal, a collective feeling that if they sacrifice now, maybe there's a present at the end of it.
It's been working. The UK announced restrictions will be loosened for the holidays, with up to 3 households allowed to get together.
'Tis the season to be jolly, but 'tis also the season to be jolly careful.
In Spain, Christmas parties up to 6 are due to be allowed. In Germany, up to 10, no limit on the number of children. France is keeping most of its lockdowns in place until December 15th and only dropping curfews for Christmas and New Year's Eve. It's a COVID Christmas, and Europe hopes not to have to pay too big of a price for it. Richard Engel, NBC News, London.
In just 60 seconds, shopping reimagined, how stores here this holiday are trying to make us feel a little safer if we shop in person. COVID has many brick and mortar retailers fighting for their lives this holiday season. Jolene Kent tells us survival means thinking outside the box and the store.
The holiday shopping rush feels so very different in the pandemic. As online sales surge with discounts already on for weeks, malls are trying to lure customers in safely and restore some of that traditional shopping magic before possible new lockdowns hit.
Everything's closing really soon, and I just wanted to see everything in person before I made the purchase online.
The kids like to see the toys, like to see their clothes, they like the hands-on experience.
The pressure is on. Online holiday sales expected to surge 33% compared to last year. That's 2 years of growth in one season. That's why in California, malls like South Coast Plaza are moving outside, transforming parking garages into temporary shopping areas, allowing customers to knock out their list by appointment only.
Here at Westfield Mall, you can steer clear of crowds by making reservations for individual stores in their mobile app. Show up at your appointed time and get shopping.
Shoppers are also taking advantage of outdoor markets full of small businesses like the Winter Village in New York.
I think it's the atmosphere, right? There's this whole kind of excitement, seeing what's in each other's baskets, getting inspiration.
Balancing the holiday spirit with safety in this unprecedented season of giving. Jolene Kent, NBC News, Los Angeles.
We're back in a moment with Meghan Markle going public with a deeply personal loss, trying to help others. It's a powerful message that's resonating with so many families tonight. Meghan Markle sharing the news of a pregnancy loss this year. Here's Erin McLaughlin.
Meghan Markle gives intimate details of her pregnancy loss, writing an emotional essay for the New York Times, how it happened in July while she was holding baby Archie. I felt a sharp cramp. I dropped to the floor with him in my arms, humming a lullaby to keep us both calm. I knew as I clutched my firstborn child that I was losing my second. Markle describes watching Prince Harry's heartbreak as he tried to hold the shattered pieces of mine. Up to 1 in 4 of all pregnancies ends in miscarriage.
I think this gives people the ability to feel it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to encourage people to get support.
Markle recalls a grueling royal tour to South Africa and this moment with a journalist.
Not many people have asked if I'm okay.
She writes, I realized that the only way to begin to heal is to first ask, are you okay? Markle encourages us to ask the question of others, writing, loss and pain have plagued every one of us in 2020, adding for the first time in a long time, as human beings, we are really seeing one another. Are we okay? We will be. Erin McLaughlin, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Are you okay? Up next, Americans thankful this holiday in spite of COVID and because of it. As we head into Thanksgiving in the middle of a pandemic, Americans are still finding plenty of reasons to be grateful for what they have and what they can give.
My name is Orion Jean. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. I'm just thankful that all of these things that have happened, they've made me stronger as a person. So, in a way, in a very strange way, the coronavirus has kind of made us better and more prepared for what's happening, what's going to happen next.
My name's Ben Hurdle. I'm a UPS driver in Maple Grove, Minnesota. There's always beautiful things in the world. Don't give in to darkness or fear. There's beauty everywhere.
My name is Eric Hale, and I teach 1st and 2nd grade. I remain grateful and hopeful because every time I look in the eyes of the students that I serve, I know they need me now more than ever. So it's my duty and my obligation to give them 5-star service regardless of the pandemic.
I'm Dr. Deval Desai, and I'm the Director of Hospital Medicine at Emory St. Joseph's Hospital. Time and time again, I'm reminded that I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with others who have the same mission as me, and that really makes me feel the most thankful for what I do on a daily basis.
It's hard to stay positive about the things that you still do have, but sometimes that's what you need to do to stay happy and stay focused and thankful.
So much wisdom. That is Nightly News on this Wednesday. Thank you for watching. For all of us here, stay safe and have a great night.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.